Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. A Chilliwack man has been charged in relation to a Mission murder. The Business Improvement Association and Ruth and Naomi's teaming up to clean up cigarette butts. Smuggling drugs into valley prisons literally takes a different flight. And the Vancouver Canucks legend Trevor Linden helping the Chilliwack Chiefs set a record. Josh will have more in sports. Our special guests this week include Bruce Renwick with the Chilliwack Curling Club, Jean-Louis Bleu of the Chilliwack Cultural Center, and with SOPA, Kyra Esau-McGahey bringing in the magic of Cinderella. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. A 27-year-old Chilliwack man has been arrested and charged in relation to a homicide in Mission from December. The victim was identified as 64-year-old Holbert Chu, a resident of the home where the murder happened. I-Hit investigators have identified 27-year-old Matthew Bohr of Chilliwack as the suspect and has charged him with second-degree murder. Now, the circumstances around the actual event have not been revealed. That is expected to come out in the trial. Cigarette butts are always a pain, the cleanup messy and expensive. The Chilliwack BIA and Ruth and Naomi's have announced a program where a total of 30 small recycling bins will be installed throughout downtown Chilliwack, especially for smokers to toss their cigarette butts aside. Now, volunteers from Ruth and Naomi's are going to do the cleanup. Not only are they going to be paid to empty the bins, but they will get the money from sending the butts off to be recycled. There's been a recent rash of searches in Valley correctional institutions. Drugs and phones have been seized in Mountain and Matsqui prisons, but this one incident is showing, well, ingenuity. Recently at Pacific Institution in Abbotsford, a pigeon was found on the grounds with a backpack full of drugs. Prison officers have been on the lookout for drones carrying drugs and other contraband, but this is the first time anyone can recall that a live bird was used. Officials say this case is just showing, well, it's an indication of how creative criminals have become when it comes to smuggling in the drugs. Here, there have been plenty of stories of how underpaid, understaffed, under-resourced paramedics are, so this is a major step. The Health Employers Association of British Columbia and the Ambulance Paramedics and Ambulance Dispatchers Bargaining Association reached a tentative collective agreement under the government's BC Shared Recovery Mandate with the assistance of mediator Vince Reddy. You may recall his name. He is very good at media relations as well as union relations. Now, Tony Clifford, the president of the Paramedics Union, is calling this deal, quote, the best he has seen in 10 to 15 years. Both sides will finalize details over the next week. Chilliwack City Council giving third reading to the 2023 Financial Plan bylaw, taking in inflation and supply chain issues. Home and property owners can expect one of the largest property tax hikes in recent years, 4.48%. Council also gave third reading to allow Cottonwood Centre to replace the entire food court with a BC liquor store. So you can go to the city website, the January 10th council agenda. You can see the full breakdown of the city income and expenses as well as the other agenda items. Former Chilliwack school trustee Barry Neufeld is attempting to get a defamation lawsuit against him dismissed. Neufeld was sued by Dr. Karen Bondar, another school trustee. This was last November, over comments he made during a September online show called the Empower Hour. Neufeld called Bondar a striptease artist, referring to an educational video that Bondar made to her students back at UFE. It was a parody of the Miley Cyrus video for Wrecking Ball. According to Neufeld's application, litigation intended to punish and silence critics in the public arena is the very mischief that the PPA seeks to prevent. Now, the PPPA is the Protection of Public Participation Act. Neufeld is also waiting on a Supreme Court of Canada decision. Again, another defamation lawsuit, but this was between he and former BCTF President Glenn Hansman from 2018. We could see that ruling coming down in the spring. Whatever happened to Cascadia Air and the flights in and out of Chilliwack? Well, in July of last year, among a ton of fanfare and in response to air access after the 2021 flooding, Cascadia started regular flights from Chilliwack to Vancouver, Pitt Meadows, and Vernon. Well, last week, the flight stopped, the phones don't work, the website does not show any flight information, and of course, there are a few customers that want a refund. Those same customers very angry and posting to social media that no one has any answers, especially Chilliwack Airport. And by the way, they have yet to comment to chillTV. Some good business news on the heels of the demise of, sadly, the Rendezvous and Uni's restaurants. On the corner of Victoria and Nowell stands a very delicious landmark. Multipack Foods and Deli and Astrid and Michael Wedig are the fixtures in the neighborhood. Multipack turns 25 just before Valentine's Day. They posted some photos from 1998. You see one of them here. When they first started, they have expanded their products. Originally known for a Bavarian flavor, Astrid telling chillTV, and due to popular demand, they are also catering to Ukrainian delicacies. CSOPA, the Chilliwack School of the Performing Arts, hit the stage this week with their first performance of 2023. It's the Broadway musical adaptation of Cinderella. That'll run until the 22nd. Kyra Esau-McGahey will be joining us in a couple of minutes to talk about that show. Last year, Jean-Louis Bleu came from Calgary to become the new executive director of the Chilliwack Cultural Center. His vision going into the future includes broadening the palette for what the center is presenting, and he wants to see more young people involved, especially through schools. We had a conversation with Bleu just recently. That is coming up. And then after the break, we'll have our interview with Bruce Renwick of the Chilliwack Curling Club, as well as the BC Scotties. Josh will have all of that on sports. News of the week continues with someone who, I was going to say the new executive director for the Chilliwack Cultural Center, but you've had the gig for a while, Jean-Louis Bleu. So I guess belated congratulations, you've got the gig.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
60-second business card, the history. Where have you been and how did you get here?
So I originally came from Calgary. I was working as the interim director of Mount Royal University, and I still actually teach at the University of Calgary. I'm going to be teaching a winter term course there, so we'll be flying back a couple times. Prior to that, my music practice or my artistic practice is music. I'm a choral and orchestral music director, and that's kind of where I thrive, and a very collaborative individual, so much so that the course that I do teach at the University of Calgary is on interdisciplinary collaboration.
Cool. Now, with the Cultural Center, since it opened, 11, 12, 13 years now, with the new calendar kind of messes me up, but we've had everybody from April Wine in Nazareth to the Chilliwack Symphony. Where do we go from here? Do we have shows that are booked now going into 2023, into deep 2023, and anybody you can talk about right now?
We're working on that and actually just trying to figure out what people in Chilliwack want for performance experiences. I think one of the big things for me is recognizing that Chilliwack has a very vibrant artistic community here with the Chilliwack Players Guild, the Chilliwack Symphony Orchestra, the Metropolitan Orchestra. There's so much going on, and really tapping into that and making that kind of the focal point of the Cultural Center, and then expanding that outwards. When I talk to people in the community, there's a lot of talk about the influx of people from other areas coming to Chilliwack. There's a diversity that's part of that, and so I'm wanting to tap into that. I'm wanting to present performances that tap into the various diaspora that exist in the community while presenting people in Chilliwack opportunities to experience those performances. Just as a side note, we have Farhad Khosravi coming on the 26th of January. He's an Iranian santur player, and so that music kind of coming to the Cultural Center, and if people are interested in experiencing that music, stuff like that is kind of part of what we're looking at. And then the other key piece for me is the Indigenous communities that are part of Chilliwack is something so unique. I've talked about how Alberta, they're kind of removed from Calgary and you have to go further afield, whereas here there's this integration which I find so refreshing and inviting. And how do we create collaboration with those communities, with the various communities that are part of Chilliwack, and then the core artistic community in Chilliwack. And so it's a really exciting place to be here in Chilliwack. And one of the things that we're working on is this Cultural Center has produced or presented performances, but what we haven't done is produce performances. So I want to actually create an opportunity for arts incubation, for residencies, for people to come to the Cultural Center to workshop ideas and create unique performance experiences.
Is there like a production company that you want to build kind of an offshoot as, or is that still?
Not necessarily building a separate production company, but just using the resources we have to create like an arts incubator or a residency. Actually, in fact, Recently, we had Josh Beamish from Move the Company.
Yeah, I believe that's
what
it
is.
is.
And my understanding is that he's come here quite a bit, and what he does is he workshops his performances before he takes them to present in Vancouver, and we'll do presentations here. Wanting to actually create a similar opportunity for artists here in Chilliwack or in the Fraser Valley, but for me, one of those key parts is collaboration, and how can I bring together artists from different backgrounds that may exist in the Fraser Valley to come together to collaborate to create something unique for Fraser Valley, for Chilliwack.
I know, well, the University Campus Station in Abbotsford likes to do that on a music basis. Is that kind of where you want to go with the Cultural Center as well, but not just music, obviously theater, the upcoming Iranian concert, which I just saw that today, and I thought that is so cool. Is there other things that you would like to see on your bucket list that might be able to be? I know there might be some negotiations that we can't talk about, but something like that, that's going to be more of the norm?
That would be my hope. I think a lot of that depends on the budget that we're able to work with. But honestly, the center is so amazing. Like that was one of the reasons why I moved from Calgary. Was I was shown this amazing, beautiful hall that has so much backstage space beyond what we had in Calgary. What I was working with there, there's so much opportunity to produce such a wide variety of shows that it's really exciting to kind of imagine, okay, what could actually happen here? And there's some ideas that I have brewing around, but we'll have to see what happens in the future.
The one thing about, the pandemic hit everybody and we're still dealing with it. It seems that the artistic community has braved a good chunk of that storm. Are you seeing that with people that are showing interest in ideas, presenting them to you like, hey, we can do this? And we don't have to worry about, I shouldn't say worry, but we don't have to do an April Wine or a Powder Blues Band to pay some of the bills for the center. We can bring in other shows that may not make a ton of money, but the word of mouth gets out there that the Cultural Center's here. Is that where you're kind of hoping it goes, or?
I think there's an element of that we want to explore and experiment with. I think it's important to have those. I teach my class, actually. It's ironic. The class that I teach actually at the university, I talk about presenting things that are familiar, but also presenting things that are different and unique to create an excitement about what happens. And for me, I know that what brought me to music was classical music and pop music, and that made me want to be a musician. But when I was exposed to new music, to new composers, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh, wow, this is so amazing. But would I have taken the opportunity to go to that? No, I needed an opportunity to experience what that's like. And so I think it has to be a balance of presenting what is familiar, what's new, what's timely, what's kind of more canonical in terms of those past experiences. And so it's the variety that excites me. And so it's figuring out that key mix.
Something that we've talked about this off air is being able to get out into the community more when it comes to schools and definitely UFE. Any plans down the road, or is that still in conversation with school boards and the university?
Well, happily, I have a meeting that's been set up for the school board next week.
Okay.
But I have ideas about what that could be, and I like to dream big, and I don't know if it's appropriate to say anything here, but I would love to see a takeover festival of some sort where high school students or university students actually take over the Cultural Center, are guided by the staff at the Cultural Center, but they're the ones that are the artistic directors. They're the ones that are marketing. They're the ones that are doing the tech under the guidance of our staff. They're the ones that are the executive director of the center for a week or a weekend, whatever it happens to be. But I just love this idea of having young people drive an element of what happens in the Cultural Center. And one of the other reasons that I think that's so important is because that's our future audience.
Yeah. And I Imagine High is the first thing that came to my mind, is because that was such a big boost. And then with your enthusiasm and wanting to get more young people involved, a wink and a nod to Imagine High. You guys maybe want to have a cup of coffee. That and university and that, but that is such a great idea to get younger, but again, that energy that is there. Again, a big thanks. And I guess anything that's going to be happening with the Cultural Center's website, any fine-tuning that is happening right now, or right now it's working, don't touch it?
I would say it's not working.
It's not working?
We recognize that we want to actually change and update the center. We're looking at rebranding the center a little bit. In fact, you'll start seeing this beautiful ad of a ballet dancer in red, and that's kind of what we're using for launching a new season. We're going to rebrand how we've approached the seasons rather than it being discipline specific, where it used to be music, theater, dance. We're looking at the idea of Spark, which is an innovative series, Passport, which is that series exploring different cultural practices, artistic practices, an amplified series, which would be kind of music and cross-cultural. And so just looking at rebranding kind of how we approach presenting and what we do at the center. With that, there's hopefully going to be a rebrand of the website. We are actually kind of looking for a company or people that might be willing to take that project on. And so we're in the middle of that right now, but hopefully we'll have a new website in the near future.
We knock on wood.
Knock on wood, yeah.
Jean-Louis, a big thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
The new Executive Director of the Chilliwack Cultural Center. And you're watching News of the Week. News of the Week continues with an old friend of ours, Kyra, Esau-McGahey, Chilliwack School of the Performing Arts. The 23 season is here. We all got through Christmas, except you were in rehearsal.
We were, the whole time.
The whole time. And we're doing Cinderella. Now, I guess the first thing we got to really emphasize is don't expect Disney.
No, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Yeah, no, we have more music than that. Yeah. We have to have all the fun songs. Yeah.
So is it more humorous than, again, comparing it to Disney? What do we expect that's totally different?
There's definitely humor. We have the updated Broadway version. So this version was released in 2013. And so there's some new characters that have been pulled out for this one. Sebastian has been the Lord Protector in the kingdom, and he has been ruling with a rather iron fist. And the people aren't super pleased about it. And so Jean-Michel, our firebrand rebellious soul, is coming up and complaining about what's been going on. And of course, our prince has just come home from university and he doesn't know what's going on. And now he's going to find out all the things. And Ella's going to come along and tell him. Okay,
we're not breaking any spoiler alerts or anything.
No,
okay.
No. But we've got new characters and some new faces, some new updated writing, and to bring it into the present, but it's still that timeless classic tale.
Now, many shows, they'll have previews. You're doing something I find phenomenal and a little bit different. Instead of doing it in front of adults, you're doing it in front of kids.
Oh, yeah. They're both the best and toughest audience because they will give you their most visceral reaction every single time, which is wonderful because we want all of the laughter and we want all of the ew, gross when they kiss. Any affection, any hugs, they're like, gross, it's disgusting. So we want all of that stuff so that our actors can really get a feel for not breaking character because the kids will push you every time.
Now, this is a show for the entire family. When did production start? It takes a long while to get something like this going because you've got the choreography, you got the music, you got everything that's being flown in off stage.
That's true. So we started working on production last year. In June, we did our auditions.
Wow.
And then we started rehearsals in September. And we have put 400 hours into this big boy. So these humans have been rehearsing so hard and have put so much into this. And they do 3 to 5 days a week of rehearsal, depending on how close we are to the show. And at this point, we're just going every day now.
Oh, I can imagine. So the show run, we are now underway?
So we did our first school matinee this morning. We've got a preview tonight, another preview tomorrow night, another school matinee tomorrow morning. And then on Friday evening, we open, and we're open until the 22nd.
Okay, and ticket information, whereabouts?
Oh, Chilliwack Cultural Center website, and you can also call them on their show line.
Okay, and really cool poster, by the way. Rodgers and Hammerstein, is it Hammerstein, Hammerstein?
I say Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Okay.
But I would not trust that. And I'm happy to be corrected.
Yeah,
but
likewise, yeah.
The Rogers and Hammerstein version was the version I fell in love with when I was young. So
good stuff. And yes, you'll notice she is wearing the colors.
I am. I'm wearing my show t-shirt, so I'm very excited.
Now, is there swag at the show, or is that just for cast and crew?
This is a cast and crew shirt. I wish.
Because somebody would ask, and I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we get enough requests for it, then noted, and I'll keep that in mind for next year.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Kyra, again, a big thank you.
Thank you so much.
And again, the tickets are available through the Cultural Center box office. It's going to be a ton of fun. Get your tickets now because they are going fast. You're watching News of the Week.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's Josh back with you after an extended vacation. Okay, the whole thing wasn't a vacation. I did take some vacation time. Great. Got sick. Not so great. But now we're good. We're back. And sports continues on. So let's just jump right into it. The Chiefs wanted to make a big deal about it, and it paid off because Chilliwack showed up. Canucks legend Trevor Linden was in town to promote his Club 16 fitness gym opening soon at Cottonwood Center, and the Chiefs game set a new BCHL regular season attendance record with 5,008 fans in the stands. Now, it was also Dairy Appreciation Night, so, maybe that helped out a bit as well. Linden, for his part, shook everyone's hand and did plenty of photo ops. The old record of 4,800 was set in Penticton in 2009 when the V's hosted the Quesnel Millionaires. And the cherry on top was that the Chiefs came from behind to win 4-3 over Cranbrook. So great night all around. The 2023 BC Scotties, presented by Best Western, and the 2023 BC Men's Curling Championship are this week at the Chilliwack Curling Club. The combined events will bring many talented teams from across the province to compete for a chance to represent BC at the 2023 Tim Hortons Brier in London, Ontario on the men's side, and the 2023 Tournament of Hearts, that's the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, in Kamloops on the women's side. Bruce Renwick, the manager of the Chilliwack Curling Club, spoke to Don Lehn as this tournament got started.
A huge tournament is in Chilliwack this week as News of the Week continues with Bruce Renwick, who is the manager, of the Chilliwack Curling Center. When the new center opened, we had this conversation of bringing in some major events. Well, here we are with the BC Men's and the BC Scotties, and it's real. How long did it take to put all of this together?
We've got a committee working for approximately close to a year. And through those committee heads, we had 12 committee heads, and we have 120 volunteers signed up to help out for this week.
And the volunteers, not just from Chilliwack, you have Abbotsford and throughout the valley as well, or?
We do. We have a number of officials from down the valley, and we also have some others helping us out from other clubs.
Okay, now rinks, I know you got to be careful with, you don't want to sound biased, but rinks that we should be keeping our eyes on because we got a ton of amazing people in town.
We do. The field this year is just absolutely outstanding. We've on the ladies' side, I would keep my eye on the Grandy team. They've been doing very well on the circuit. They played in the last Grand Slam on TV. Of course, there's always Corinne Brown out of Kamloops and Sarah Work, even from Chilliwack here. We've got it's amazing talent on both sides. On the men's side, I would watch for Team Gauthier. You can't count Brent Pierce out, who was last year's champion. I've been curling against Brent for many, many years. He's dropped 40 pounds. He is in amazing shape, and they've been doing very well on the circuit. And of course, we always have the perennial BC favorite, Jimmy Cotter, that's here. So any of the 12 men's teams or the 8 ladies teams could come out and represent our province at the Nationals.
Now, off the top of your head, when are the Nationals? That's not that far away.
No, off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but the Scotties, I believe, are about mid-February, and the Brier is in London, Ontario in March.
Having said that, and again, we had this conversation not that long ago. Obviously, Chilliwack is in the focus BC-wise, and we'll get to the television in just a moment as far as national rights go, but I would think this bodes well for us to make a pitch for nationals like the Scotties and like the Brier, but that would have to be in concert, I would assume, with the Chilliwack Coliseum in the city of Chilliwack?
That would be correct. We would need some support from both those venues, also from the province of BC. But having said that, the Scotties this year are up in Kamloops, so we should possibly look at some of these events. We had the Continental Cup here already in Chilliwack in 2006, so we're ready for nationals. We're ready for big events.
And some of the things, we've had the BC Juniors already, the Under-16 Challenge, the BC Seniors. We also have the Canada Winter Games qualifiers coming up.
For Curl BC, possibly, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Not at our club, though.
Yeah, oh, I see. Okay, exactly. Now, having said that, I did run into one of the Curl BC officials the other day when I did a quick tour. They seem very impressed with what they are seeing, with what you guys have done to put in the new curling club. Are you getting that feeling that, okay, all this hard work has definitely paid off and still paying off?
It has, Don. I can't say enough about the whole process with the city of Chilliwack. They've definitely put us on the map, and now we want to put them on the curling map. And yeah, it's just been wonderful. We are now the premier club in BC for these events. Curl BC wants us to continue to hold events, and we'll the city built that for this purpose. So that's our payback to the city by bringing in the economic spin-off on these events.
Now, ticket prices and availability, we just go to the curling club and get them?
You betcha. You can. They're for sale at the door. We have sold out all of our window seats upstairs, but they're only held to the end of the second end, so they're wide open. Our sponsors have the opportunity to sit in them until till the end of the second end, but then they're wide open. And general admission, we've had a huge walk up today. $10 a day during the qualifying. So Thursday and Friday is $10, and the weekend is $15 to see the semis and the finals.
And the other upside too is that there's tons of parking.
There's tons of parking. Again, just a great process with the city. We can't thank them enough. Just ideal location, ideal facility. We have clubs from across Canada calling us and saying, "What are you guys doing? Why are you so successful?"
Aha, you made the impression. We knew it would work. Bruce, again, big thank you. You got a one heck of a busy week. Thanks again for joining us on News of the Week.
Thanks, Don. I really appreciate the coverage.
Anytime, and we'll see you back at the rink. And you're watching News of the Week.
Thanks a lot, Don, and thank you to Bruce for stopping by to talk about this unbelievable tournament. Let's move on with the rest of sports. Registration continues for the upcoming GW Graham rugby season. So if you need more information on registration and the upcoming training camp, head to the Facebook page GW Graham Athletics. Chilliwack Mustangs Minor Lacrosse is having another Try Before You Buy training session. Chilliwack Lacrosse will be offering 2 no-charge training sessions for children ages 5 to 16 who want to try lacrosse for the first time. They actually did something similar to this back in January of 2022. Players will require a helmet with face cage, hockey gloves, lacrosse stick, and running shoes. The Mustangs have a limited number of helmets and gloves on loan on a first-come, first-served basis. The Mustangs and Chilliwack Minor Lacrosse also have all the information on their social media, so definitely check that out. Now, sticking with lacrosse, the Chilliwack Minor Lacrosse Association is going to be partnering with Sumas First Nation as they host a series of lacrosse development sessions for self-identifying Indigenous youth. This is for ages 6 to 16 and is expected to be held in February. No experience is needed, and Jenna Nuppin told us, quote, "These development sessions are hosted by the Sumas First Nation in partnership with the Chilliwack Mustangs and the Abbotsford Valley Junior Rebels team," end quote. So that's very, very cool. Please check that out. Lots of lacrosse stuff happening, lots of sports happening. As always, it's so good to be back. If you've got a sports story you want to share with me, send it to news@chilltv.ca. Coming up, we got Cari with the weather.
Chill TV weekend weather, the 7-day forecast with Cari Moore. Cari, the mild temperatures continue with a lot of rain. Okay, at least we don't have to shovel it.
Thanks a lot, Don. Our weather this week is going to be, yes, rain, rain, more rain. Highs of up to 10, which is amazing in the middle of winter, and down to 4, so we're not even going to be freezing. Slight chance that you might see the sun on Monday, but other than that, what do you expect, Don? It's winter.
Thanks, Cari. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, send us a note and your pictures and your video to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.